asking, do these corporations have any other structure other than what normal corporations do, which is money, bottom line shareholders? And so in asking if there was some sort of hybrid, to use your word, Larry, of what the point of the corporation is. And it sounds like that hasn't evolved yet.
No, and some of the issues, I mean, the corporations are actually getting more aggressive. And so we talk about the formation of these corporations, but the reason why ANCSA was passed was specifically to move gas from the North Slope. And in 1971, I've spoken with many elders who were in Washington, D.C., and he took Edwardson, Chris McNeil Sr., chief of the Nishka, and they went and they said, when we spoke and when we talked, there was no fully informed consent. ANCSA was passed without the consent and without any participation of the tribes. And so it's really, I think it's a smear on the face of democracy, because we want to have it both ways and we can't. You know, with the Treaty of Cessions, which I've read, which is in French and English, we see that, you know, the transfer of a company to William Seward. And so there were some legal status issues that were very critical in squaring away. But when this was done underneath the Nixon administration, it was without the consent of the acting sovereign tribes. Now, where we are today with this issue is as many elders have put it, ANCSA was the wheelbarrow that they used to steal the gold. And it's a statement that I think in many ways is true. By not evaluating our current legal status and by forcing ANCSA upon each sovereign tribe, we've really sidestepped fully informed consent and some of the principles of freedom. And I think that that's something that we need to look at, because now we've seen these corporations are, you know, not only gaining more power and control, but they're acting as governments. And this is something that dramatically affects the tribes negatively and cannot go on forever. Eventually, you know, if we leave our tribal governments and we're to stick solely with these corporations, we'd eventually have no shareholders.
So under your tribes, you have your sovereign governments. Under your corporations, you have your land settlement that can be bankrupted and taken away. Right. I mean, this is set up so that if decisions are made poorly, you can be in a tribe that has no land and nothing.
One of the elders.
Absolutely. I mean, I think this is a very serious thing, and I know, Karen, that you help marry a lot of contracts with corporations, and you're on that side of it in this. There have been decisions made, and I understand that you're the person that okayed some of these decisions, and one was the Chiniga-Blackwater marriage. Now we have Chiniga-Blackwater Solutions, and I don't know if you're familiar with Blackwater other than the people that you've dealt with, but you know, there's been some pretty legitimate, proven allegations against Blackwater. Eric Prince's company out of North Carolina, a remarkably damaging group of these sort of onward Christian soldier mercenaries. There have been charges against them. They're running drones in Pakistan. They've been charged with murder several times. Why in the hell is an Alaska Native corporation that was given 8A status because they're minorities and they needed, you know, just to get up to ground level to be able to compete? Why would they be in a status or using that 8A status to get contracts for Blackwater?
Well, the 8A program allows our firms, any of our firms, to enter into what we call a mentor-protege agreement. Any small business of which you need to have that status to continue to participate in the 8A program may subcontract with any firm. There's nothing that the federal government can do unless a firm is debarred from not allowing you to engage in business with any firm. And if there is a mentor-protege relationship, which is allowable within the SBA's 8A Business Development Program, that needs to be approved by SBA, but there also needs to be a clear reason as to what would be the benefit of mentoring with being a protege and mentoring with another business, and it can be any size business. as to gain capacity or to gain infrastructure development, business development, I would say, that gain business development experience. And at the time that our firms want to entertain this type of relationship, it's based on the best information at the time. Now, whether or not things happen in the future and a firm regrets their business relationship, a lot of that may be contractual, and how difficult is it to extract yourself from a relationship. But certainly.
So Blackwater was taken on as a mentor?
You know, I can't remember exactly, but if it were a joint venture, then it would have to be an improved mentor-protege relationship.
I mean, that's like having Jeffrey Dahmer teach you to cook. I mean, they are not, they are one of the most dangerous things, not only to Americans internationally. You know, I have friends who have been in Iraq, who have been in Afghanistan, working as soldiers there, sent there, and said the most dangerous thing to them was the reputation that Blackwater was forming. Driving to places, shooting people. I mean, the list goes on of offenses. Eric Prince, who has this corporation, they've changed their name several times. It doesn't change how they work. And you know, I look at Siri, I look at Chalista, I look at these different corporations that were, 8A was to help people get their bootstraps, not to pull themselves up by the bootstraps. Everybody can do that. It was to actually give them bootstraps. You can't tell me that Siri doesn't have gold-plated bootstraps by now and is actually out competing real indigenous people in Alaska, people of minorities that actually do need that help up. They don't need that up anymore.
Well, you know, I don't necessarily agree that the way that these things have been managed is the way it should have been managed. But at the same time, I don't think we should begrudge a native entity being very, very successful. You can argue about how they can be successful. I don't believe that the means justifies the ends at all.
Right.
But you got to remember, in the Blackwater situation, which I totally think is abhorrent, and in terms of what they've been doing, and I thought that from the very get-go. At that time, you know, all the Americans were behind it. Yeah, let's go. You know, kill the SOBs. That kind. Not all of them. I agree. I was one of them that didn't.
Not all of them, my friend.
But you see, but the majority were, and that pressure was there. And I think in that case, I'm second guessing that Shanika jumped on that bandwagon. I don't know.
Well, you had to approve that merger.
Wouldn't have been a merger, and I can't recall exactly which contract it would have been for, but generally it's for a specific contract, and it's not a long ongoing relationship.
Well, they've got their names now together on websites. I mean, Shanika Blackwater Solutions. I don't know what their solution is, and Blackwater isn't anything I'd even drink out of a cup. But I don't begrudge any of this. And like I was saying, the setup of corporations to give people bootstraps and to be able to make it and to be successful, I think is brilliant. I think it's good, and I want the absolute best for that.
Right.
But the corruption that has come down in this and the allegations, there's a lot of really good people in this state with really honest intentions, and there are some other people making decisions that aren't.
Yeah.
And I hate to see it all go down and fall flat over that. We've got to take a break. We're going to come back, I promise. You guys can get your swings in on the break. No, I'm kidding. We'll be right back with more Up North.